I think my favorite thing about the website XDA is the fact that it calls itself the world's best source for computing news, reviews, editorials, guides, and more. And there's a typo there should be a comma in between editorials and guides. But what would modern game journalism be without a complete lack of professionalism? Which segues us to this article. I was sent this article by a viewer, so thank you to CJ for sending this to me. And if you have an article or Twitter thread or video that you would like me to dissect live on the internet, just go ahead and send it to me on Twitter. My DMs are open. But we've talked about articles on XDA before, and I've been told that this website actually used to be a good place for like Android modding or like Android jailbreaking, I guess. I don't know. My experience with XDA begins and ends with articles like this one, titled, quote, "Every time I try PC gaming, I'm reminded of why I prefer consoles." So let's listen to the world's leading experts of tech and computing articles tell us why consoles are better than PC for gaming. I can't wait. Are you excited for this article? Do you think that with my voice being the tone that it is, it's going to be a really fun, informative time? I think it certainly is going to be a fun and informative time. Reviewing PCs and laptops is a big part of my work, and it's arguably my favorite. While it can be frustrating to give up my usual desk setup to test a laptop, it's always fun to get something new, see how it performs and what it looks like. I've reviewed many a gaming laptop too, and I always tried to deliver a fair and realistic assessment of what those devices offer. But to be honest, gaming PCs are usually some of my least favorite to review. Don't get me wrong, I love gaming, I just vastly prefer console gaming, and every time I have to try PC gaming for a review, I'm reminded of why playing on my Nintendo Switch is so much less frustrating. Let's talk about it. You know, the integrity of a tech website is just like off the charts when they give the gaming PC reviews to the guy who openly doesn't like gaming PCs. I love when sites do this. And that's not the author's fault, that's the XDA's fault, that's management's fault. Why are you giving the gaming PC reviews to the guy who openly doesn't like gaming PCs? Why is it surprising that a dogshit article comes out of all this? Section 1. Controls. PC gaming is a little too complicated for me. So gaming PCs are too complicated, but PCs in general are fine. I like reviewing laptops and I like reviewing computers, but gaming on those computers, bam, too complicated, just like that. Oh, okay, yes. This will be fun. The first thing I don't really like about playing games on a PC is the fact that controls are often more complicated than I'd like them to be. So change them. If you don't like the controls, change them. A keyboard has dozens of keys placed into lines in positions that aren't really designed for you to need to press multiple keys at the same time. Today I learned that keyboards are designed to not have buttons pressed at the same time. So if you ever hit, Control, Alt, Delete, that's some black magic right there. How'd you do that? How'd you press 3 keys at the same time? It wasn't built for that. Sure, you can get used to it and change the controls, but playing most games on a keyboard is just so cumbersome. Presents problem, presents solution. Nah, that's not a solution, cause I didn't want it to be. I love this. You flat out say that you can just get used to it, and that you can just change the controls, but then you're just like, I got an article to write. I have to whine to the internet about the fact that my job is reviewing gaming PCs, and I don't even like it that much. The article continues. Controllers have just the right amount of buttons to do all the actions you're expected to do in a modern game. Of course, games are designed around them, and they're all placed in easily accessible locations, so you can play in a very comfortable way. Okay, but what if the game is designed around the keyboard? What if the game has more controls than a controller really can comfortably allow? I would never want to play something like Warcraft or Planet Zoo on a controller. It's just not built for that. The logic you're using to demean keyboard and mouse but prop up controller, the logic you're using doesn't make any goddamn sense. And while traditional PC controls can sometimes offer more precision thanks to the mouse, console controllers have benefits like analog movement and, outside of Xbox, gyro aiming, which helps compensate for the lack of a mouse. Of course, you can always use a controller for PC gaming, but if it's not an Xbox controller, that can be an involved process. I have never once had a problem connecting a controller to my PC, and I've used a lot of controllers. I'm literally looking at a GameCube controller right now that's sitting on my desk, and all I had to do was get a USB adapter for it, and it works. There are plenty of people who use the DualShock controller. Isn't the DualShock controller or the DualSense controller, I forget which one, I forget which one it's actually called, but the PlayStation controller, isn't that one of the most popular controllers on the market right now for PC gaming? I mean, I prefer the Xbox controller. A lot of people prefer the Xbox controller. That doesn't mean it's the simplest. That doesn't mean it's a complete hassle to use something else. But unfortunately, the article continues. Quote, and as I've found while playing Elden Ring on some gaming handhelds, sometimes button prompts will still be shown as if you were using a keyboard, so you're left to figure out what button you're supposed to press. I've actually never had that. I've literally never had an instance where I have a controller plugged in and it's giving me keyboard prompts for the controller. But if that's really the case, how hard is it to just lock into your brain, hey, when it says keyboard prompt E, that's actually controller button A? Like, this could just be me, but I feel like that's the kind of thing your muscle memory is going to sort out after like 5 minutes. It's a fucking non-issue. Section 2, so many pop-ups, I just want to play. Playing games on a PC also gets frustrating when it feels like there's so much demanding my attention or my data. I mostly use Steam for gaming, and I've had that account for years. To me, it seems logical that already having a Steam account would be enough to get me into most games, but a lot of companies have developed a frustrating habit of trying to get me to sign up for whatever garbage account system they're offering, and many times they want to force me to link those accounts. Believe it or not, this is something I'm actually going to agree with. I think the abundance of different accounts and different launchers on the PC is really obnoxious. But also, how fucking awesome of a platform do we have to have where that's my big criticism? My big criticism of the platform is that I'd rather have, I don't know, 2 or 3 accounts as opposed to 5 or 6. And even though it's annoying to have a lot of accounts, I'm not even going to ask for that to change, because the fact that I have so many accounts and there are so many launchers and so many storefronts, that makes the industry better for us because it means games get cheaper. It means companies compete with each other in more ways than just the hardware like it is on the console. But also, none of what you just said has anything to do with pop-ups, which was the title of the section, so I'm confused. Quote, it's so annoying trying to launch a game like Cyberpunk and have another launcher pop up that only contains CD Projekt Red titles. I can't launch Forza Horizon 5 without the Steam overlay being forced on me to ask me to link my Xbox and Steam accounts. The Steam account is shared, so I can't do that. Even games I really like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, have the annoying quirk of opening a little menu instead of the actual game where I can change most of the settings that the launch menu has anyways. Steam itself gets a little annoying, opening its sales highlights every time I launch the app for the first time. For most of my titles on the Nintendo Switch, all I need to do is press A and the game loads, and I can play it. Again, this is such a non-issue because, yeah, while these things can be a little annoying at times, the end result is a better ecosystem for you with better prices. And like I said a minute ago, how fucking awesome of a platform do we have to have for the big problem with it being an extra 5 to 10 seconds of menu icons when you press the play button? Like, I think most PC gamers will agree with me when I say that while this is a little annoying at times, it's really a pretty small potatoes issue at the end of the day. Now, that is not me excusing all the different accounts, that's not me excusing mandatory third-party account linking. That's just me saying that in the grand scheme of things, what you're describing as a big major problem with the platform just really isn't that big of a deal. It's kind of hard to get fired up about stuff like this because it's just, I don't know, I just keep coming back to the idea of like, if that's the best you got, then shit, we got it pretty good over here. And if you want to minimize the amount of pop-ups you get, just turn off the pop-ups you get. You know, a lot of these pop-ups are optional. You can turn them off. Live service games are kind of a beast on their own with their account system, which is just as annoying on consoles as it is on PCs. If it's just as annoying on the consoles as it is on PCs, why is it in an article about why console is better? Not a good way to argue your point. Maybe the problem is that I'm playing the wrong games on PC, but I've never had to deal with these frustrations on my console. But in the previous sentence, you said you did. In the previous sentence, you said you did. What? The next section, I forget what number section we're on. Compatibility and settings. You never know what you're going to get. I love when console dudes talk about settings as if it's some big boogeyman. You can learn how to handle and understand PC game settings in 5 seconds, and if you don't want to deal with PC game settings, use the presets. And you won't have to deal with PC game settings. I hate this idea that PC gaming is somehow worse than console gaming or more inconvenient than console gaming because most PC games have the decency to let you fine-tune the performance. This is a feature that PC gaming has that console gaming refuses to give you. It's not an inconvenience, it's not a problem, it is an additional feature the consoles don't have. Finally, the biggest thing about PC gaming is how you just never really know if something is going to work for you, or what you have to do to make it work decently well. With the console, games are really straightforward. Every game is designed for the same hardware, and any review online will tell you if the game looks good, runs well, or is buggy. Yes, because modern gaming reviews are just so honest about console game performance. Modern game reviewers are so upfront about when console games run like garbage. The simplicity of having a single platform that games are developed for makes it pretty easy to know what to expect. Yes, you should always expect garbage performance. If the game has a realistic visual style with lots of cool, amazing graphics, you should expect 30 frames per second. What an amazing argument you're making in favor of not giving people game settings. PC gaming, however, is a mess. Almost any PC can try to play any game, and that theoretically gives you a nearly infinite library, but whether it will actually be playable is kind of up in the air. Today I learned that there's just a giant epidemic of games on PC that aren't playable. It's just completely up in the air whether or not games are even playable. This has become much more true with the rise of PC gaming handhelds, which are severely underpowered compared to traditional gaming PCs, and thus can only run a lot of modern games at lower resolutions and graphical settings, often requiring you to fiddle with those settings in the menu until you get decent performance. This is the same person that was praising the Nintendo Switch earlier in the article. You're shitting on PC gaming handhelds for being underpowered compared to traditional gaming PCs, but the Switch? Yeah, that's fine. Also, you say that you have to fiddle with settings in order to get decent performance, but you can fiddle, right? You can fiddle. So, what's the issue? Again, with you presenting solutions to your problems and then just not entertaining the solutions for some reason. But of course, a lot of PCs will have the same problem of trying to figure out the right settings for your configuration, and that's when the games run at all. With the advent of ARM-powered laptops like the Surface Laptop 7, many now may expect to play their games on these new machines, not knowing the potential compatibility issues of the ARM architecture. Most games will run at lower settings on those PCs, but as we've seen with titles like Forza Horizon 5, some games just won't run, or even install. It always feels like a gamble trying to get a game running on your PC. So according to you, there is an epidemic of PC games just not working. PC games just don't work at all. It's a complete gamble on whether or not games work. And your evidence for this is Forza Horizon on a Surface Laptop 7. Forza Horizon 5 on a Surface Laptop 7 has some hiccups. Therefore, PC gaming as a whole is unreliable, and there is an epidemic of PC games that just don't work at all.
Well, that was a load of shit.
There's still something else on this note, though. Oh, good. I'm glad there's something else on this note, because this note so far has done nothing to convince me of your side, which is a bit harder to pinpoint. I'm currently working on a review of another PC gaming handheld and trying to play Elden Ring. I first played on the maximum preset at 2560 by 1600 resolution. This is on integrated graphics, and if you know the power of these processors, you know this shouldn't run smoothly at all. However, the game ran at a very stable 30 frames per second, so I changed the quality to the lowest possible setting, and lo and behold, the nearly exact same 30 frames per second. That should never happen in game. Wait, hang on. So, you booted the game, it ran at a stable 30, then you changed the graphics down to low, and it was still running at 30 frames. Did you check the frame rate cap? The frame rate cap is usually a different setting than the graphics. Are you kidding me? Are you actually getting on your high horse about a frame rate cap not changing when you didn't change it? Are you made of eggs? And if you think that's a one-off, I just recently had a friend of mine with a Dell XPS 15 laptop with a GeForce RTX 3060 GPU try to play Hunt Showdown. The game refused to run smoothly at max settings, so he turned them all the way down. Nothing changed. What is it with brain-dead PC gaming game journalists and always running their shit on laptops? Like, it's so dumb to me. You said earlier in the video that handhelds are underpowered compared to full-fledged gaming PCs, but somehow you don't think laptops are underpowered compared to full-fledged gaming PCs. Ugh. Also, the game refused to run smoothly after I changed the settings. Did you restart the game? Did you do basic troubleshooting? A lot of the times, if a game isn't running smoothly and you change the settings, you have to restart the game before the settings kick back in. Some settings are like that, some games are like that. Not all games, not all settings, but it's something to consider. If you're having issues with graphical settings, like if you turn down the graphic settings and you're still not really hitting your frame target, just restart the game, see if that changes anything. That's one piece of troubleshooting. Also, again, I'm not sure if your friend knows this, but the frame rate cap is usually a setting in itself. So maybe you should have looked for that if the intention was to change the frame rate, but at this point I'm just losing it. PC gaming is very often a mystery, and I'm simply not interested in dealing with it. PC gaming isn't bad, it simply isn't for me. So why are you being paid to talk about it and review it? Why are the PC gaming articles being handed to the guy who openly doesn't like PC gaming? Ugh! I'm sure my words will have some die-hard defenders of PC gaming mad at me. I'm not mad, I'm just annoyed. You know, there's a difference. But I'm not here to say whether you should stop playing games on your PC or not. There are benefits to PC gaming too, with the largest number of games on any platform, and you spelled the wrong. You spelled the wrong. Oh my god. With the largest number of games on any platform, more customizable controls, and if you have the right hardware, graphical fidelity consoles simply can't match. But playing games on PC just gives me a headache, especially when I'm trying to do it so I can do my job. Oh, boo-hoo, you have to do your job? Oh, learning about PC gaming and playing PC games and talking about PC games, that's your job? Oh, it's so hard for you. Having annoying pop-ups, cumbersome controls, and just trying to figure out why a game isn't working or behaving as expected is incredibly tiring. If you have the time and the patience to deal with those things, that's great. I just don't. Article over. Man, what happened to game journalism? How is this an article? You know what I mean? How is this something that anybody thought would be a good addition to the website or a good addition to your tech site that you call, like, what was it, the world's greatest amalgamation of news and content? Fucking whatever you said. How was this a good addition to that? How was this a good addition to that? Like, is there no quality control at XDA anymore? You're supposed to be a tech site, and you have people over here just openly not knowing what they're talking about. Like, I can't get over that. You openly acknowledge the fact you don't know what you're talking about, but you're still talking about it. You're still being paid to talk about it, and nothing is changing from the top down as to who's being assigned what. Like, do you think it's cute? Because it's not. There's plenty of reasons to prefer console to PC. There's plenty of reasons to prefer PC to console. None of those reasons on either side were written by this nice little lad at XDA. So that was fun. I'm gonna go away now. And maybe one day XDA will go away too. Toodles.